Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I thought I'd do a follow-up on my old video about my embarrassing health problem. If you happen to not catch that one, or you're a new subscriber since then, in short, about 8 months to a year ago, I was diagnosed with low testosterone, and it wasn't really like low as in lower than average testosterone, but more like almost zero testosterone, essentially that of a 95-year-old man. And I made this video talking about my health problems, and on the internet, that's embarrassing. I get a lot of trans jokes and cuck this and that and girly boy and whatever, but lots of people reached out to me about the video and they were experiencing very similar symptoms, and of the people that I've talked to, several of them have followed up with me and they are also starting some sort of testosterone therapy either soon or already have. So I thought it'd be good to share some updates about how everything is going with me and what it did with my body, so that maybe one day it will help one of you. Maybe one of these days, like 8 years from now, somebody watches this video and it helps inform their decision about what to do. And this first update about what happened to my body when I started taking testosterone is going to start off with a sponsor that I never thought that I would have. The Dollar Shave Club, because for the first time in my life, I'm actually shaving, because if you zoom in super close, you'll notice that I have actual facial hair, which is strange for a 31-year-old man to say. So today's video is sponsored by the Dollar Shave Club. They sent me their starter kit packet right here, which we are going to unbox in just a minute. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Dollar Shave Club already, but if you're not, they're a subscription service that more or less fulfills every sort of hygiene need that you have. As a man and as a gamer, I hope that you brush your teeth and wash your hair and face and body and all that. And if you do, instead of going to the store to buy everything and experiment with different products and try different blades and all this other sort of stuff, you could sign up for Dollar Shave Club, which previously was $1 a day, to get all the hair and face care products that you need. However, now they're doing a $5 starter pack. So we get this cute little starter pack for $5, and let's briefly set it down on my actual sink. And if you're curious why there's a nickel here, I'm doing an experiment to see how long it takes to rust just from the amount of water moisture in the room. So my wife really loves this, but it's staying for now. So anyway, the $5 kit gives you a razor handle. It's kind of a fancy, it's actually metal. It's not plastic, which is kind of surprising. I thought this would just be like a cheap plastic, but it's metal. We got a kit of 4 blades here, which I can hopefully put on without cutting myself. And I know a lot of you hairier guys. What's wrong?
You just stick it in there.
I just stick it in there?
Yeah, just leave it in there so you don't cut yourself.
Okay, so my wife shaves more than I do. Not only her face, but her nether regions as well. So she knows these things. Oh my God. Okay, so that's easy. I didn't know I could do that. And let's get in here on these two little guys. We have Easy Shave Butter and Daily Face Cleanser. Now this one I'll be using in the shower later, so I can set it aside. But the shave butter is essential for when you have actual facial hair and you have to actually shave it, because previously I had so little facial hair and so little growth, I could take like some old gross razor, throw some water on and go whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just done, no problems. But such is not the case anymore. So let's try some face shave butter. Get a nice big healthy glob. I'm sure that's... My wife is making a face. Did I use too much?
Yes, that's a lot. Wow.
I used too much.
Yes.
Okay, well, okay. We'll just put some face butter on here, on this beautiful manly beard that we've got going on.
Just slather it on.
Look, it's attempting to do a sideburn.
Just slather it on.
No, you said it was too much, and I don't want to look silly or embarrassed on the video, because it would be terrible if I embarrassed my poor dear wife who has to film all of the tickles. All of these things. So, but this would be the first time that I have ever put I was going to say shaving cream, but it's shaving butter or any similar product on my face, because it's the first time I've ever actually needed it. We only have this much left over.
Just slather it on like shaving cream at this point. You can't put it back into the thing.
I feel like I'm getting a facial. Okay. And what's been really weird for me after the testosterone treatments is that my facial hair increased for the first time in my life. I was pretty much a hairless man all the way through. Did I cut myself? Nope, good. Perfect. So my shaving would be like once a month, once every 3 or 4 weeks maybe. If I don't know, I had to just be on camera, do something special, maybe like once every 2 weeks. It'd just be a crazy amount of shaving. So I get like one cheap razor and it would just last me forever. But now that I'm taking testosterone, not only has more hairs shown up on my face this late into my life, but they have grown faster and thicker than before. Now I know compared to most of you, this is definitely a wimpy beard. This is like your 13-year-old baby's first beard, but it's more than I've ever had to deal with in my life. And throughout my adult male life, I've never had to consider facial hair products or cleaners or anything of the sort. So I'm really happy to have Dollar Shave Club sponsor this video. Not only because they pay me real American dollars, but because I don't have to fool with razors and I don't have to learn anything, and all of their products will just be good enough for me. Did I get it all? Did I miss a spot? Oh yeah, I did. I'm so unused to shaving, I miss spots all the time. Like there's so many little hairs on this. And now we get to do so look a little different, a little bit less like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And this has been one of the biggest changes after getting testosterone therapy, is that I just have facial hair. So if you are like me and a younger viewer, or perhaps an older viewer who is tired of learning about shaving and razors and going out to the store and planning and doing new things, you could sign up for Dollar Shave Club at dollarshaveclub.com/drifter. There's a link down there below. You can click to go straight to it. No coupon codes or anything crazy like that. And I'd strongly recommend the $5 starter kit that I showed you today, because it just comes in, it's simple, it's inexpensive to try. And the neat thing is you can set up your own frequency. If you're like me, I won't need too many of these over the course of a year, but if you have, say, a more alpha beard, you might need quite a few. You can set it up however you want. So let's go back to the gameplay now. So yeah, in short, shaving now is kind of a first for me. Before it was like a near monthly habit, but now it's every couple of days. But that isn't the only thing that changed with my body. I found that it's also a lot easier to gain muscle mass than before, which, you know, kind of makes sense given how many weightlifters take additional testosterone to cheat or as a steroid or something like that. And I did athletics in high school and I had clubs in college and I lifted weights and ran and exercised all the time, but I was always a really skinny guy. I never really gained any muscle despite working out just as hard as everybody else. I did athletics in high school, I had clubs and stuff in college, so I lifted and ran and exercised all the time, but I never really gained much muscle mass, or at least not as much as my friends did. I'd have to work twice as hard and eat twice as much, and it was just a lot more effort for me to bulk up and get any real benefit from weightlifting, so I just thought that I was genetically determined to be skinny. I was always gonna be a skinny boy. Well, in the last, I would say month or so, I've resumed weightlifting again. I was mostly just doing cardio at my time in the gym. It's good for the heart, helps keep my brain healthy and all that sort of stuff. But I decided maybe it's time to try weights again. Let's see how this goes. And it's working better than ever before. Typically, as you get older, it gets harder to gain muscle. It's much easier to get ripped at 17 than it is at 47 comparatively, but now my case is the opposite. I'm gaining muscle mass faster and easier now than I ever have in my life, and I'm still a long way to go from buff. I'm still a long way to go from as fit as I've ever been, and realistically, given the lifestyle that I live as a gamer and eating tonkatsu just about every day, I might never actually be fit. I might always be a little bit on the unfit side, but the good side is that the process is way easier now, and that it seems to be reasonable gains in proportion to the work. Like previously, I just have to work like crazy for any gains, but now it seems more like everybody else's, which is kind of nice. For me, it feels like a crazy boost, but I guess I'm finally back on an even playing field. I'm gonna try to stick with the weightlifting, and who knows, maybe in 6 months I'll be a much more handsome man. But let's talk about a less positive topic next that will indicate a significant decrease in handsomeness, and that is hair loss. the beautiful hair on top of my head may not be here much longer. This is one of the most common side effects of testosterone therapy. I think that if you like get on Google, this will be like the #1 that most guys complain about. And having normal testosterone levels has put me back on track for normal male hair loss as related to aging. I think I was skipping out on a lot of it before. I just didn't have that trigger in my body, so to speak. But now that it's there, the hair is starting to disappear. Yay! It's definitely not as bad as a lot of guys have. I think I'm still above average in that department, because I know a lot of guys, and you even see it with like gaming YouTubers and stuff, they turn 23 and they're bald. They got like a huge bald spot up here, and I'm not there yet, but I can tell that my hair is thinning. I can tell that it's falling out. I can tell one area back here is a little rougher than it has been in the past. And at my current rate, I think that in the next 5 years, I might end up having to become either a hat or a comb-over guy. I'll probably just go with hats, or maybe the clean, bald shave. Now, it'd be nice if I gained muscles and just shaved it bald. It could be a very different looking kind of person than I am now. And that's if it doesn't all turn gray first. So yay on the gray. So hair loss is definitely not a positive aspect of testosterone therapy. And if you're considering it, please also consider that you may not have a lot of hair during the process, or ever again, really. But now let's get back to positive, because there's more positive than anything else. My sleep schedule has pretty much fixed itself. Before I started this therapy, I was on a rotating daily schedule, which it doesn't make sense. Normally you'd have like a 7-day week. I've got closer to a 6-day week, but I would stay awake for 28 to 30 hours, followed by a 12-hour sleep. So I was always waking up at different times every day, and every day it would get bumped a couple hours and just kind of rotate. And it was extremely unhealthy. It meant that on no particular day I was able to predict when I would be awake, or when I could get things started, or what to do. And if I had an appointment or something, it would just derail my life and be miserable. Because like if I was up for 30 hours and I just couldn't sleep, and then I had an appointment after a 2-hour nap, that was really hard. However, after a couple of months on this therapy, my sleep pattern went back to normal. I'm kind of back to like standard 8-hour sleeps, which for me is really strange. I haven't had that since maybe middle school, and this has definitely been healthier for my overall lifestyle as well. I think it's a little bit more irritating for my wife, because she's a big fan of the naps, and I don't really nap a whole lot, especially not anymore, but I'm glad to actually be sleeping for 8 hours straight. That's a very positive change. We'll go with a more neutral one next, and very briefly, sexual function is unchanged for me. That was working just fine before, which is actually atypical of low testosterone. Typically, low testosterone people have impotency and male performance problems and things like that. I didn't have that, and started taking testosterone. Nothing really changed. Lots of guys do seem to get changes with this treatment, good or bad, so I guess I got lucky here that nothing changed. Pretty happy about that. And on a similar note, I have less overall energy in my body now, but it's better energy. So one of the weirder symptoms that I had before at no testosterone was like nearly unlimited amounts of energy. That's the reason I was up so much, is I would just work myself until my body was exhausted and I would just pass out. It was almost like mania for bipolar disorder, and I was just constantly bursting with chaotic energy all the time, which again is atypical of low testosterone. Typically you would see that with extremely high testosterone, and low T, what you would see is a lack of energy, lethargy, sleeping all the time. And one of the reasons I didn't sleep very much was all of this energy. But while that sounds good to some people, like a drug, or like you get so much done, it was kind of irregular, it was disorganized, it was hard to control or do anything with. But now my body is less regulated, so I'm not manic all the time, and I can have a lot more focus with the energy that I do have. Overall, it's less energy. I'm not just like exploding it all over the place, but it's a normal amount. So what I have, I can do more productive things with. And overall, it feels better working on things. It feels like now when I go to work to do something or start my day, that I'm crafting something, that I'm making a thing instead of just putting out a fire and chasing disaster after disaster. So overall, this has been a very positive experience for me. I'm glad that I started this therapy, and I'm probably gonna really regret those words in a couple of years when all my hair falls out, but everything else is going pretty well. And I hope that me talking through some of these symptoms and some of the things I've gone through helps some of you make good health decisions either now or later in your life. I also hope that you check out Dollar Shave Club at dollarshaveclub.com/drifter. Try out the little $5 starter kit. It's much nicer than expected for $5, real talk, and I'm going to be using them now that I actually have to shave. I'll probably set my deliveries a little bit lower because I'm never really going to be shaving a lot, but it is very convenient. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you learned something, if you just like this kind of personal content, you could always subscribe or leave a nice comment. Drifter out.